room. My name is Ugochi Oluigo. And you can see me. I don't know why this keeps hibernating. Hello, Peter. Hello, everybody. I have Victor Okai joining me. Victor Okai was a former presidential candidate in Nigeria's 2016 general elections. And we'll be talking about what is happening. 2019. 2019, yes. I need to figure out why this keeps going dark. Is it bright all through? Do I need to worry? Because I need to see what people are writing.
It's fine. I can see you very well.
First time, so
I can see you very well.
Okay, I'll figure this out with time.
No, it's fine.
So Victor, yes, okay. It was a bloody day yesterday in several parts of Nigeria, especially in Lagos, from Mushin to Lekki, which was the high point of all of this. We had peaceful protesters at that Lekki toll gate who were shot at, and several of them were killed. What came to your mind when you heard that? For me, it was a very sad day. It's been sad days, throughout the week since the 1st of October. Initially, it was peaceful, and it was very, very proud moment for many Nigerians. But yesterday, it went very bloody. Or the past 2 days, it's been bloody, but yesterday it was very bloody. What came to your mind when you heard that?
Okay, first of all, HAPS has indicated my location as Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. I'd like to correct that. I'm speaking from Lagos. This was a protest that started out quite innocently. When I say innocently, it wasn't meant to go as bad as it has. It was obviously mismanaged, and that's the reason it's gone the way it's gone. The thing is that what has complicated matters is the fact that there's a huge deficit of trust between the government and the people of Nigeria. And SARS, for those who are watching from other parts of the world, SARS is our own peculiar virus here. Okay, but it's not the COVID SARS or any of the other SARS that you know. It's a special anti-robbery squad. They're a very notorious arm of the police force that was created to deal with issues of violent crimes and robbery, which was, security issues that were prevailing in particular in places like Lagos and across the country. And unfortunately, they went over and beyond their call of duty, and they became so notorious to the extent that they delved into areas of things like cybercrime and the rest. I mean, there's a special fraud unit that should take care of things like that. But what would then happen is that because of the excess power that they had, when they see any young man on the road, either with dreadlocks or looking very clean, obviously, looking too prosperous for his age, if I may use that language, or if you're with a laptop or an expensive iPhone, then they will just, it's not even a matter of concluding, they will just brand you a criminal. And so as soon as they brand you a criminal, they just arrest you, and it's for you. You don't even have anything to prove. The thing is, they will just take you away and extort money from you, and if you do not meet this, if you do not meet their needs, then we have found several cases where they've summarily executed people, just wasted their lives or thrown them in jail, and where they are forgotten because they could not meet up with this. And so they became very, very notorious. So notorious that the Inspector General, that's the Chief of Police of Nigeria, has banned this body 4 times. They've been banned or disbanded 4 good times. Yes, and it never works. How can you say you ban the body and then the body remains? And so because of that, people stopped trusting them. It got so bad. These members of the SARS were so powerful, they would say to you, I'll kill you and nothing will happen. And truly, they can murder. There was so much impunity. They are the judge, they are the prosecutor and the jury in whatever case they're involved in. And they'll kill people and they'll get away with it. And so the young people decided this was that it was too much. There will usually be a trigger, of course. And so this time around, they decided enough was enough. And so they decided to go to the streets and say the government must ban or disband this notorious arm of the police force. And the Inspector General, when the pressure became much, he banned them and then replaced them with a more fearsome name, SWAT. A name that is even more scary, Special Weapons and Tactics Squad. And then people are wondering, is this what we asked for? We're telling you how terrible these people are, and then you are replacing them with a body that is even worse than what was there before. And like I said, there's been a deficit of trust.
Apart from just changing the name, there were points or key issues that the young people wanted the government to address. Those were not addressed, but they quickly changed the name. And this isn't the first time we're hearing of this.
Exactly. Some of what they were asking for was total reform for the police force because they felt that the police were not properly funded, although I do not agree that it would change anything because truth is, issue of remuneration cuts across board the whole country. The only advantage they have is that they are armed, and in this case you might call them armed, legalized armed robbers or legal armed robbers, because ordinarily you can't stop me on the road and then extort money from me, but because they're armed and backed by the force of law, they get away with so much impunity. Okay, so these are some of the issues that were involved. They wanted a total police reform. There were so many things, 5-point demands that they made, but they were quick to do this. And what they did was really nothing, if you ask, because it was just a change of name, which really meant nothing to the young people out there.
And uniform.
Yeah, uniforms have been changed several times. It's never changed them, so they remain who they are.
Okay, so people are asking, what are the protests about? We already mentioned that. So, Victor, I would ask you.
Yes.
Over the years, you've campaigned. Over the years, you've protested.
Yes.
Why do you think this particular one was very different? People have said we've never seen this ever in the history of the country.
No. Well, I want to say not just in Nigeria. I even want to say maybe even globally. The reason I say so is because these young people have proven to be not just your regular protesters. They've proven to be very intelligent and very much on top of their game. If you understand, what was it? I'll tell you as an example now. Okay, I'll come to what I want to say. I'll come back to that. But some of the unique things about No, I'm coming to that. There's a language I want to use, very peculiar. I'll come to it very shortly. Now, these kids are very, very coordinated. Okay? What you see, permit me to say, with the Black Lives Movement, you saw a lot of violence. People would just go, okay, you might say some of that has happened in Nigeria now, but it was taken over by hoodlums, hijacked. But for the core protesters, they did their fundraising. They did not collect money from anybody. They didn't allow politicians to come and use that platform. They had among them professionals of various professionals. They had medical doctors in case anyone had any medical issues. They had lawyers in case anyone got arrested. Okay, they took care of feeding. They had entertainers who kept everyone well entertained while it was going on. And what was most unique about them was that they had no leaders, or so they claimed. And so it was difficult to it's easy in these parts to compromise leadership or to pick on somebody who claims to be a leader or who is said to be the leader and make an example of them. But this was a leaderless, quote unquote, protest. And what was unique about it was that in spite of the leaderless nature of it, it was so seamless. They were able to raise money, quite a lot of money, and there was accountability. Every day there was a proper detailed account. If anyone got injured, they took care of the medical bills immediately. If any car was destroyed as a result of the protests or anything, they quickly fixed it. It was so, how do I put it? The level of organization was awesome. They were very civilized in the way they were going about it.
Wanted, really. Which is what Nigerians have always wanted,
exactly.
because we are capable of this. They had helplines.
Yes. Helplines, exactly. They had helplines for everything, for mental health, for physical health, for legal issues, for whatever it is. They had working helplines, well manned by young people who were professionals in each of these fields. They had counselors and everything, and so it was really, really, really well coordinated.
Until the thugs came in. I'll quickly answer someone's question. Someone said, "What is SAS? Is a special anti-robbery squad in Nigeria. It was set up to handle major issues of robbery and kidnappings in Nigeria, but they went beyond that to other issues like cybercrime, and they would stop people. I'll tell a story of my brother. My brother came to visit me at home, and he came with his wife, who was pregnant, and his son, who was just 2. And so he went out to go buy something, and then we waited for a few minutes. He took so long to get back, and when he finally came back, we asked him, "What happened? What delayed you?" He said, "You wouldn't believe what happened. I was stopped by SARS. They asked him to open his phone, and he said, 'Why do you need me to open my phone?' And then they said, 'Oh, we're going to arrest him.' And they were actually going to arrest him. And then, he was lucky he found someone who said, 'Oh, I know this guy. I know him. He's not a criminal, so let him go.' And that's the way and the thing is, they would take you away and nobody would actually know what happened to you. They wouldn't give you a chance to call anyone.
Exactly.
To look at where I am, please find me. That's a personal story. That's also happened to my sister. So I have 2 family members who have experienced that, and we have stories of people who have actually died, who have family members who have been killed, who have gone missing for years and years and years. So that's why people are protesting, and this is really brought everybody together from different parts of Nigeria, because it's the same story. Nigerians have over the years tried to protest. Absolutely. Nigerians have over the years protested against so many things, but this particular one brought everyone together. Apart from a few people who said, "Oh, we don't want, this SARS to be stopped," but about 80% of Nigerians were in on this, and they were protesting. A lot of people, the rich, the poor, especially the poor ones, those out on the streets who are even experiencing this, who are poor business people, they are taxi drivers, they are Okada men who have had no peace for decades because of SARS. I'd like to say hi to everyone who has joined us: Marianne's, Laden, Raid, Peter. This is my first time going live, and have Chantel from Paris. Thank you very much. Cassio, Pierre Dwarf. Thank you very much. Uncle Magic, I hope I've answered your question. So Victor, I would ask you, what is your assessment of the response of the Lagos State Governor, Governor Sanwo-Olu?
Well, I had done a tweet this morning where I said, PR is not a detergent. It cannot wash blood. Okay? When he started out, he was quite responsive. You could tell that he had a good PR advisor, and the way he responded was, on the spot, immediately created, set up a judicial panel, set up a 200 million naira fund to take care of compensation for victims and all of that. And then yesterday, he committed a blunder. At about 1 p.m. or thereabouts, he announced a 24-hour curfew in a city where you can be in traffic for not less than 3 to 4 hours in the least. And then that created panic and pandemonium across the state. People started rushing home, and it was very confusing. And then just a few minutes to 4, as I gathered, they now said, okay, it had been shifted to 9 p.m. confusion had already started. Now, meanwhile, these young people at the gate, at the main, at the various places, but particularly Lekki, which is like the epicenter of where the demonstration was taking place, they decided they weren't going anywhere. They were going to just sit there. And around that, for they stayed there. And then, while they were there, at that toll gate, suddenly some people came and started disconnecting the CCTV cameras.
CCTV.
Now, obviously, that sent a bad signal, because that meant that obviously somebody is trying to cover up whatever. It was like a foreshadow of what was going to happen. And then at about 7 p.m. or thereabouts, a place that is well lit, I mean, you can hardly tell day from night if you're around that toll gate. Suddenly the lights all went
Nigeria's energy crisis.
Yes. Suddenly the lights all went off. And then the next thing was the military suddenly appeared on the scene. And before you could say Jack Robinson, they started firing at the peaceful protesters. Now, before this happened, this people had some intelligence that the military were going to try to create problems. They had done it a few days. They had done it just before in some of the states, as well as in Lagos. Try to infiltrate their ranks with thugs so that they would have an excuse to unleash the military against them. And so what happened was, when these thugs came, they were able to overpower them, and some of them confessed that they were paid to come and do this. And so they would arrest them and hand them over to the police. So that was a bit frustrating for those who were sending them. And so when they found that this wasn't quite working, they now decided to go frontally. I mean, it worked in a place like they do. They quickly shut down. That was where they declared the curfew, first of all, because they released prisoners, and it was so funny. I mean, nobody saw anyone going there to read. It was like they just literally opened up the prisons and let them go, just to have an excuse to shut down the city. And so as soon as these military people came, that was in Benin, and then that started out there. And then this one that happened yesterday in Lagos, I want to stay focused on that. The military just came, and then first, remember, the curfew, then the, what you call it now, the CCTV cameras that were removed. Yes. And then the lights were taken off immediately. And one of the major networks there, I mean, this is too much of a coincidence, the major network, GSM network, the telecom network there, MTN, suddenly stopped, working, and that's the biggest network in the country. And then they later claimed that they had a shutdown. I mean, that's one coincidence too many, so people to just, frustrate, the effort of the people to be able to send reports about what happened. And so immediately they started firing into them in the darkness. Now, remember, a few days before, I was going to say, when these young people heard about what was going to happen, they told themselves that they should get flags. That if you drape yourself in the national flag, according to military engagement rules or whatever, they're not supposed to fire at you. Yes, you're protected. But apparently, these people didn't.
When you sing the national anthem and recite the
pledge,
that
so when the military came, what they decided to, they said to everyone, sit down, drape yourself in the flag, and start singing the national anthem.
Hold your hands together. It hurts.
Yes, hold your hands together. Exactly. It didn't stop them. These people just, it was cold-blooded. It was cold-blooded, and then they unleashed this mayhem on these innocent young kids who were armless, draped in the national flag, singing the national anthem, with their arms, holding their arms, holding themselves hand to hand, sitting down there. I mean, it was terrible. And they did it all in the dark. And to make matters, they did it all in the dark. This, for me, is a premeditated murder, nothing less. And to make matters worse, when these people, tried to reach out, because of course some of them were on other networks, so they were able to reach out and send live images of what was going on. They started crying out for help. And so when ambulances started coming in to help them, the same military stopped them. Or let me just say, the people wearing the military uniform, because the military is denying it, they stopped these people from coming to help them. They stopped the ambulances from coming to convey them. And as we gather later, they started mopping up some of these dead bodies to take away, so that people will not get the actual number of people that were murdered. It was a Black Tuesday.
Yeah. It was a Black Tuesday. A lot of Nigerians wrote that in their entire life, they had never seen the Nigerian flag, draped.
So desecrated.
Yeah, they've never seen that before. This was the first time of seeing this, and I mean, the image is forever engraved in their hearts. And then the next day, the governor comes out to say that, nobody was killed.
Now, we were talking about him. Now, let me take it up from there. We were talking about him. He had done his PR prior to that time, but what messed up things? He had said last night that I was going to address Lagosians, as we call ourselves in Lagos, this morning. And one of the biggest, I don't know what to call it. I mean, after what happened, no one trusted him anymore. I mean, people had thought he was proactive before now and actually trusted him. But after what happened, no one would believe him anymore. And then when he came to make the speech this morning, one thing I considered was a blunder was, it may have been true, I don't know, but he said he went round, he visited all the medical facilities, and he did not see one dead body, that nobody died. I mean, that was the height of insensitivity. Even if he didn't see, quote unquote, because the truth is that, they tried to do a good mop-up that yesterday, the military. But people saw people dying. We saw the videos of people with their intestines out. I mean, I saw videos. It's not like, you understand what I'm saying? I saw people it was gruesome. I couldn't even look at some of the images.
It was horrendous.
And then to have said so was a bit insensitive. You could have said you went round and just talk about it, but don't get to the point of saying nobody died and all that. You cannot speak in such absolute terms, and that got people really, really mad, and he, of course, later he tweeted that there was somebody that he had died at Reddington from some trauma blow to the head, and that is yet to confirm his fate. One of the head trauma injury, or so, whether it's one of the protesters and all that. I mean, but that was already too late. People are enraged. That was the height of insensitivity. So unfortunately, he had lost the trust that the young people had in him. And which was what inspired my saying that the PR is not a detergent. You can't wash it off. You can't wash. PR is not a detergent. You can't use it to wash blood.
Now that brings me to the biggest question in the hearts of many Nigerians, and indeed many across the world, even world leaders. They're asking, where is the president of Nigeria? Where is President Muhammadu Buhari in all of this? Well, he's not said anything. We've seen a few tweets, but where is he?
Good question. I saw a video that was a video from the US that claimed that he's somewhere in the US. Some people have rumored that he has fled. He's not in the country. I don't know how true that is, but this is the moment when Nigerians want to hear from their leader. I mean, there is absolutely no excuse not to address the nation at a time like this directly. He had made a speech at the beginning when this all started, but it wasn't a speech directed at Nigerians.
He was forced to make that speech, remember?
Yes, he inserted it in a speech he was making at a different event. Now, one would have expected a full national broadcast addressing the issues that have been raised by these young people. But none of that was coming, unfortunately. We have been waiting. Nothing. The best that has come has been the apology by the vice president. But like you and I know, and has often been said, the vice president is like a spare tire. Excuse my language, but this is in the public domain. That's what people say about, that there's no power, with the vice president. People want to hear from their president, and not to say anything up to this point is, for me, the height of insensitivity. You owe Nigerians, at least a broadcast. Today, the human rights head of the Human Rights Watch, which is an organ of government that has no teeth, spoke, and then that's like nothing. People want to hear. They want to be assured that the president is on top of the situation. They want to be assured that nothing like this will happen again. They want to be assured that SARS will no longer act with impunity, or the Nigerian police force will no longer act with impunity. They want to be assured that many of the things that they are addressing, many of the issues that they want addressed are going to be addressed. But none of that is forthcoming, and there's no promise of that even coming at all.
Now, still on President Muhammadu Buhari, I've seen messages, and we remember what happened with the IPOB protesters in 2016. I think I was with you on this. I think we're traveling, and then we heard the news that some protesters in Abia State, in Anambra State, had been killed, and we were worried that a lot of Nigerians didn't care. They didn't talk about it, and then it happened to the Shiites. And a lot of Nigerians didn't talk about it. And a lot of people are saying that if we keep quiet, this is how it's going to continue. And now we have the highest.
And it has happened. That's exactly where we are. That's exactly where we are. You see, but the one unique thing about this protest, I can tell you, is that, you see, in the past, they would succeed in dividing us along tribal or ethnic lines and religious lines. They tried it when this started. They're still trying it, but it's not working. That is the one credit you have to give to these young people. Because what is unique about this protest is that it is the people against the government. Unlike in the past, where they would use their divide and rule tactics, where they would make it an ethnic issue and then divide us along those lines, or make it a religious issue and divide us effectively along those lines. But it's not working this time. A political issue, exactly. What is unique about this is that, like I often say, violence has no coloration. It doesn't have ethnic or tribal colorations. Hunger, neither does hunger, or suffering, or the kind of impunity that has been unleashed on Nigerians by this special anti-robbery squad, notorious squad known as SARS. But for me, SARS is just a metaphor for the rot in the Nigerian system. SARS is not going to end. Yes, exactly. Nigerians have bottled up emotions for so long. So many things are rotten in the system. So SARS was just the gateway to ventilate these pent-up feelings and frustrations, And so a lot of people are coming out, and the demands are going to be unending. I can tell you that. There's so many things that people are unhappy about, and this is just the beginning, which is why I started as a 5-point agenda, moved to 10-point, and it has since grown. And so I don't know where it's going to end, but I can assure you that if anything, young people that never cared about politics before are now very, very politically active. I can assure you that the next election will not be the same. It's not going to be business as usual.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yes.
What do you see as the future of all these protests? The energy for the protesters have been that this is a chance we have. This has never happened before. We have to take a hold of this opportunity, and make good use of it, and demand reforms in the health sector, education sector. We've seen pictures of babies on plastic chairs, and now this has happened. Now the protesters have been driven out of the streets. They've been sent back home by the military. What do you think is the future of the protest? I'm hearing that they're saying, let's re-strategize. Let's maybe take this online. We're having those in the diaspora who are now protesting.
It would have been better for the government if they were on the streets. I can tell you that. I mean, because you can see them, you can control them to an extent. If you're smart, what you do is provide protection for them. And if you provide protection, you can see what they are all about. You can tell where they're going to. You can control it, very nicely, But if you drive them on the ground, that's the worst kind of, you're going to get the worst kind of fight. They are technologically, I mean, the young people deployed so many things in this protest. There was a massive deployment of drones. So you couldn't hide anything. You couldn't suppress anything. They were doing live. I mean, even what was happening last night, one of the DJs, her name is DJ Switch, who was performing for, live at the event and all that. She did a live recording that had about over 120 or 150,000 people watching live simultaneously while the military, or those in the military uniform, as I would like to put it right now, while they were firing at them. Okay, so they are deploying technology across all fronts, and there's a hacker that came up. It's called Anonymous. That is hacking into government websites and all that. And you see, when government attempted to stop the crowdfunding that they were doing, these young people decided to start collecting bitcoins, as donations, so, and you can't control that. You can't stop it. You understand what I'm saying? So they're well ahead in the game. And if you drive them on the ground and then they decide to start a cyber warfare, I don't think the government can match them, because you see, they are the ones that understand this game more, and they can do so much damage. So it would have been better if there was a frontier or a war. This is going to be worse than Boko Haram, and you know that Boko Haram is a war that is like guerrilla warfare. You can't really. Yes, you can't. There's no war front where you can confront. Yes, so and it's almost like they can hit you from anywhere, and they hit soft targets and all that. And what you're going to get from these young people right now is that one, I recall that one of the young people that was killed last night, his dying words was that they should never give up on this fight. I can't remember the exact words now, but something in the neighborhood of, please, guys, don't give up. This struggle, we must win. This struggle must not. And so they're determined to take it to the next level. Yes. And so when you try to drive them on the ground using the military, I think you have crushed them. That's even worse. Because you see, they can, even if you say you're closing internet or control, they will use VPN, and then they will go virtual, they'll use VPN and they'll go on the ground and they will do so much damage. They can wreck. I mean, don't forget that it's the same young people who have sympathy for these people that are manning all the websites, that are manning all the. I mean, they will cooperate with them. Like I said, this is a war between the people between the people against the government. So now and they're united against the political class. They're united against the political class. And then
there are two. Yeah, it seems like there are two, different classes of people in this war. There are those who are very peaceful, and then the thugs who emerge now, who went to burn down the station this morning
the TV station
of TVC News. TVC News is one of Nigeria's biggest news channels. I worked with TVC News for 4 years, and it really hurts me to see the station burn down. It's quite painful. It's quite disheartening, and it has the biggest resource in terms of coverage in Nigeria. And then this was burnt to the ground. The staff of over 300 or 700 people, might not have jobs anymore, and these are protesters. They are protesting what happened, the bloody night of yesterday, and now they took it the other way. But those even the other protesters would say, no, we're not burning things down. We're not doing this. We're asking, for our legitimate rights, but peacefully. So at some point, it became two
But
different.
let me tell you what. I'll tell you what. We saw videos of people that were like government agents in Abuja, particularly, and even in Lagos, where they were offloading thugs and miscreants in buses. Yes, they brought them to create confusion so that they will have an excuse to strike. And that's the problem. When you start something like that, you can't control it. You know the beginning, but you certainly don't know how it's going to end. And so what they have started, like Barnaba will say, we are the monsters you made. These are the monsters that they've created. And now these monsters are suddenly uncontrollable, And the language I was looking for earlier on, I just found out now, is blockchain, blockchain technology, where you talk about like Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and the rest of them. The unique thing about it is that there is no owner. That's like the structure. I call this the blockchain protesters or blockchain generation, in the sense that this protest is a protest that is leaderless, okay? That you cannot, that there's no ownership of, you cannot control, nobody can say he's in charge, nobody is in control of, and yet it is so well coordinated.
Organized.
Okay, yes. So that's the language I was looking for earlier on. That's a unique thing about the approach that these protesters are using, and it is something that I think is worth studying, But to come back to what you were saying, there are various layers of protesters right now. The intellectual arm, where you have the first core of protesters who are very well coordinated, and that's on the one hand. Then you have the thugs, the street guys who are very violent in the way they're going about it.
Yeah.
And then there are those who are passive, who are sitting at home, but they're giving their tacit support. I can tell you that many Nigerians at home and abroad are in support of what these young people are doing, because everybody has had it up to here, quite frankly. The level of impunity in this country is unbelievable. And which is why you would ban an organization 4 times, and yet they will still continue. Yes, so, and that's why there's a trust deficit, huge trust deficit between the people and the political class, unfortunately.
I mean, it's really sad. And I would also ask you about your assessment of Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, his approach to this.
His approach. He was. I mean, for me, that's my man of this whole thing. What he did, very, very clever, which was what I talked about earlier on, was that he got the military, apart from some of the other things which the others were doing. What he did was he got the police set up in the security outfit in his state, Operation Burst, or what's their name? I can't recall exactly, but I think that's the name. What he did was, yes, he got them to, first he made an address where he talked to all the protesters and showed empathy. This is a good case in PR. Showed empathy, and then now told Operation Burst to go out there and protect the protesters, because he now said he acknowledged their right to protest and also said they deserve to be protected. And then he sent these people to go with them to protect them. Okay? So unlike the adversarial approach of many other state governors, in his case, he got these people to act as escorts to protect them and make sure that they are not the protest is not hijacked. No one hurts them.
How it's supposed to be.
Them, which is the way it's supposed to be. You're there as a servant of the people. You're there to serve the people, not to kill the people. And so, for me, he's a man. He's a man of the protest. He's somebody that needs to be. I salute him. You know, he handled it very maturely, handled it very, very well.
I'd like to say hello to everyone who's joined us. Thank you very much. Adeola Olani, Adeola mentioned, hi, Tinubu is in France now.
Yes, I was going
Mark, thank you very much.
Yeah, go ahead.
Joining us from Los Angeles. Yeah, Uncle _Magic, thank you very much. And we've answered the question about what is SARS. This comment about Tinubu in France, we're not certain. It's
No, he said so. He acknowledged it in an interview. In one of the interviews, that there were two sets of interviews, some young girls and some young boys who called him. So he acknowledged he's not in the country.
He was the former governor of Lagos State. Just to give you a bit of background, he was the former former governor of Lagos State.
And the owner of the television station. Is the owner of the television station that was burnt down. I don't know, but there's a lot of pent-up anger against him.
In Lagos.
Yes, well, not just in Lagos. Is said to be the leader of the ruling party. You know, the national leader of the ruling party. So, and there's so much anger and bitterness against him by so many people for so many reasons. The big trigger is this: he is said to be the owner, yes, of the toll gate where they removed, and that it was people accused him. They said nobody else, because that toll gate, indeed, the two toll gates have been burnt. Those ones leading to Lekki, the one from Ikoyi and from the other one. Combined, they make a total earning of they bring about 30 million naira every day. He's said to be, he's said to be the owner. He has denied, he said he's not, but I mean, so people claim that only he could have given instruction for those CCTVs to have been removed in the first instance, for the lights to have been switched off, because it probably is hurting his economic interest and that of the state government. I think they're in partnership, which is why people are unforgiving. That's why it's difficult for the state governor, Sanwo-Olu, to exonerate himself right now. It is claimed that they have economic interest that is being hurt, and that they are the only ones that have a reason, a genuine reason for doing that. Only they could have given such instructions, and so, which is why people are really, really angry with him.
Okay, Victor, it's almost time for us to end this. We have someone, Believe Udumuku. She said, which way Nigeria? That's a question we don't have an answer to. And that's a question many young people, because they've said when they were born, they were told, oh, Nigeria will get better. Some of them are over 18, 20, 21, 35. And it's the same story, the same ruling class, the same.
I can tell you which way. For one, it's not going to be business as usual. It's not going to be business unusual. I can tell you why. Because the young people who up until now have been told that they're the leaders of tomorrow, and who have shown a lot of apathy towards politics, have decided to take ownership today. They are not waiting till tomorrow anymore. I can assure you that the next election will not be the same anymore. Many of them are going to get their voters' cards. Many of them are going to come out to run for elective offices. Most of them are going to come out and vote. In the past, that's where the largest number in our population is. But most of them don't come out to vote. All that is going to change. They are going to take the future.
Do you think the ruling class, this generation that has held on to Nigeria for many years, do you think they would let go that easily? Don't you think they're going to rig the elections like they've always done?
Well, it's a game of numbers. I can assure you that the young people will be waiting for them. Whatever games they're playing, the young people are going to be very, very, very alert. They may be in control of state resources. Right now, they may be in control of all the, how do I put it now? But remember, they are a minority. They are a minority. Yes. And I can tell you why. You see, what makes this unique is that a lot of people are very unhappy right now with the government, even in the military. Because if you look at what's happening in Sambisa, for instance, where Boko Haram, where soldiers are fighting Boko Haram, many of the young officers there are crying because they are not well treated. You know, they are not being properly taken care of. Many of them are frustrated. The impunity cuts across. I mean, until now, I mean, they send their kids abroad for education. When they are sick, they go abroad for treatment. So the healthcare system, the education system here is in shambles. Okay, and but you know, so right now, all that is going to change. Did you notice that they suddenly they didn't care? The universities have been closed for how many months? They're closed for a year. Okay, but suddenly they decided to start,
They want to
you know,
negotiate.
solving them. Yes, they suddenly decided to take care of what the issues were, so that the kids can go back to school and off the streets. I mean, so it means they knew what to do all along, but they never bothered, you know. But
And
all
then,
that
and then the
is
comment
going.
by the House of Representatives said he would not sign a budget, that didn't reflect the wishes of the protesters. Do you believe that?
We'll have to wait and see. I would take anything that is said by them with a pinch of salt. You know, they could be playing to the gallery. I will repeat what I tweeted today. PR is not a detergent. It can't wash blood. Okay? So if you're trying to speak to speak to the gallery, so to say, or trying to make PR stunts, we're waiting to see until it's done. We don't trust the people in government anymore, because for too long
I think
they have lied. Most times they just buy time. A lot of them are just. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see.
on that note, I'd like to thank you very much, Victor, for
I
joining
mean,
us. And
can we take more comments or questions, or is it really time?
yeah, we have
I don't need that.
we have just a few comments. We've responded to most of them. The first
I'm
person asked, what is SARS? We just comment from Raid Solidarity from Seattle. Marianne joined us. Vladen joined us.
Yeah.
Crazy from Sunnyvale. Brett joined us. Chantel,
Yeah.
Cassiopeia, Brother Bo Body, Peter, Uncle Magic, Adiola, Olani Adiola, Mark joined us, Believe joined us, and I think we've taken all the comments that we got.
All right. Thank you all for being there. I've enjoyed myself, and I hope it's been
Thank you very
useful
much.
session
I
for
mean,
you.
it's really sad. I'm a young person personally. I'm
Yeah.
hurt. I've been all over social media, campaigning for a better Nigeria, campaigning for just the basics, healthcare, education. This is what people deserve. The images of those babies we see, burn when they are born, they are already on plastic chairs without, beds for them. It shouldn't be happening for a country as rich as Nigeria. Someone said now people are being killed in their homes in Abuja.
Yeah.
I don't know. This might be happening just
Wow.
now.
I saw one yesterday. Yeah, they're sponsoring people to attack. That's the problem. They're sponsoring people to attack people in their homes. And the next phase of it is, I can tell you this, Ugochi, they're going to start picking up some of these protesters quietly and silently in their homes. Unfortunately. That's
And
the next phase.
this is exactly what happened in Abia State. That's the thing about silence. That's the thing about silence. It happened in Abia State exactly the same way. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, it happened the same way. I think we've lost Victor. It happened the same way in Abia State, the same way people were picked up, IPOP members were picked up the same way and killed in their homes. We can hear you fine. So I think Victor, I've lost Victor. Thank you. So Victor, you're still there. Hello, Victor. Victor, are you still there? Well, we just have about 8 minutes to go. So I would like to thank you very much. My friend and her family ran out midnight last night. It's horrific. We hope this doesn't get out of hand. Thank you so much, everyone who joined in. Peter, Believe, everyone, Brett, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I think I'll be back tomorrow again. This is a serious issue and it has to be taken very seriously, to amplify the voices of young Nigerians and just basically to make Nigeria better and to make the world a better place. Thank you very much for joining me. I am Uchi Anaka Unu. I'll be with you again tomorrow. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.